the exercises for Chapter 10 of LC101 Think Python. This first question is asking you to draw a reference diagram for the list A and the list B before and after the third line of this code. So this is kind of essentially, think of this as a quiz on whether or not you understood the references stuff from earlier. Again, not super important because most of the time we're not going to run across this problem. But just generally know that when you want to create a copy of a list, create a clone of a list, so that you can have two separate lists that reference the same thing. To do that, you have to use this full list slice operator. So this kind of syntax here, where you set a new list, a new variable equal to the old list with a slice containing the entire list. So they want you to draw that out by hand. So go ahead and do that, and then check your answer against this answer. Essentially, what's going to happen is B0 will change to 5. So A is going to be referencing a list of 1, 2, and 3. On line 2, B is going to be referencing a separate list of 1, 2, and 3. And then after line 3, B is going to be referencing a list of 5, 2, and 3. All right, number 2. Create a list called MyList with the following 6 items. So let's do that. Do it with both append and with concatenation, one item at a time. Okay, well, let's do that then. So MyList equals empty list is how you want to start it out, and then you will want to concatenate it or append it one item at a time. So don't just initialize the list like this. So with 76, 92.3, hello, true, 476. So while technically this will get you a list of those 6 items, they don't want us to do it as one whole initialization. They want us to do it piece by piece, one at a time. So we can do that with concatenation. So my list plus equals let's see, 76. Can I do this? Will this work? Because this might be your first inclination, is, okay, I will create an empty list, and then I will add my list plus 76, or I'll set my list equal to my list plus 76. But it's not possible, right? It's not going to work because ints are not iterable. So what you need to do instead is add that item in a list. And if we do this, we'll see that it is added to my list. So that's what we'll want to do for each of these items. My list plus equals 92.3. I'll copy this. My list plus equals hello. My list plus equals true. My list plus equals 4. And my list plus equals 76. So there we go. We run it. We get that list. Now, I want to reset it here. So my list equals empty list, and then go ahead and print my list again to see that I have reset the list. And then we're going to do the same thing with append, with the append method. So my list dot append. And I'm just going to copy this so that I can grab it later. 76. 92.3. Hello. True. Oops. 4. And finally 76. And then go ahead and print my list again to see that I've gotten the same list. So notice the differences here, where with concatenation you have to put your items that you want to concatenate inside of a small list that only contains that item. Whereas with append, you just put the item itself inside of the function call as an argument, as a parameter for your function. So that is the difference. Whereas with concatenation, the items have to be in a list format already, because lists can only be concatenated with other lists. Whereas with append, you can just put the item itself inside of there. Now you can append a list inside of a list, the same way that we concatenated lists together up here. If you wanted to append a list inside of a list, though, you'll see that rather than just putting 76 inside, we put a sublist that includes the item 76 inside, which has completely different functionality, or it will have completely different functionality when it comes to things like iterating through this list or pulling items from this list. So be careful of that. So when you're using append, no brackets. When you're using concatenation, brackets. Let's knock this one out here real quick. So starting with the list in exercise 2, so let's grab the list, exercise 2, and we can just do that by copying this and setting my list equals, there we go. So now we'll have that list. So we need to do the following things: append apple and 76 to the list. So we can do that very easily. Feel free to pause at any point and actually do these things yourself. So append apple, and similarly, oops, let me put those in a string. Append 76. Right, and we want to insert the value cat at position 3. There are multiple ways that we can do this. We could call a slice, where we do 3 slice 3 and have it equal to cat. That will insert cat into the list. But we can also do the insert function. So my list insert 3 cat. We'll do the same thing. I prefer using these functions rather than doing item assignment for insertion, but you can obviously use whatever you prefer. Insert value 99 at the start of the list. Similarly, we can do that with my list dot insert 0 99. Find the index of hello. So we can call my list index hello to get that. Count the number of 76s in the list. Let me put these inside of print statements for this one. Count the number of 76s inside of the list. Okay, we can do that with the count function. My list count 76. And also put that inside of a print so we can see it. And then remove the first occurrence of 76 from the list. So we can do that with the remove function. My list remove 76. And then finally remove true from the list using pop and index. Okay, so we can do that. So this is kind of the hardest one. So, whoops, not my dot list, my list dot index true will return the index of true, and then I can go ahead and call that directly my list pop. So I can just go ahead and call this directly because I know this will return the index of true, so I can use that as an int inside of my function call to pop. So my list pop, my list dot index true will find the index of true and then pop it out using this list. So because this returns a statement, we can just do that to see that, and then I'm going to write a quick print my list and then pop this in after every one of these so we can see the list as it changes here. There we go. So let's run it and see what happens. So we started with that list. Then we added in apple. Then we added in 76. Then we added cat in here. And we added, position 3. We added cat in here. And then we added 99 to the beginning. And then we, what is this one? We printed the index of hello. And then we printed the index of, we printed how many times 76 appears in the list. And we removed 76 from the list. And then we popped out true. And we can see that, in fact, true was popped out. So that fulfills all of those. We'll get to the rest of these exercises in another video, but these first 3 so far here, not very difficult, I don't think. This one is especially useful because it gets you a lot of practice with those very useful list methods that we'll be using all the time. So I hope that you're doing well with this chapter. Give the next few exercises a try, and then come back and see how I did them.